everyone! In this video, I'll show you how I made a Sailor Fuku for my Kakyoin gender bend cosplay. If you're new here, check out my Instagram to see more of my cosplays. I made this skirt pattern based on 4 resources that I found online. It was very tricky to make because it involved a lot of numbers and math, so I had a lot of different versions for this before I found the perfect measurements. My waist measurement is 66 centimeters. If you have the same size as me, you can use this pattern as it is. I'll also try to explain how I came up with these measurements so you can try to recreate them on your own. First is, I looked for a pleat size that is divisible by my waist measurement, which is 66 centimeters. The easiest pleat size would be 3 cm. I divided 66 with 3, which is 22, and that is how much pleats I need for the skirt. For the folded area inside the pleats, it's up to you if you want a deeper pleat or a shallow one. You can double the size of your pleat size or you can even add more. I decided to make the folded part of my skirt at 10 centimeters, which is a little more than 3 times of my pleat size. The formula for the total width of the skirt would be pleat size plus pleat fold multiplied by the pleat count. The answer I got is 286 centimeters. Then I'll add a 1 cm seam allowance on each end. The height of the skirt is totally up to you, but I used 40 centimeters for my skirt. Measure 1 cm on the end of the seam allowance. Then measure the half of your pleat fold. The half of mine is 5 centimeters. The next measure is your pleat size, then the full pleat fold measurement. Repeat in this order until you reach your pleat count. Secure the pleats with pins. I did this on both the top and the bottom of the skirt. After the last pleat, measure half of your pleat fold again, and then end it with another 1 cm seam allowance. Sew the pleats on the top part of your skirt with a running stitch. Next, we will add the zipper. I used an invisible zipper. Remember to change the zipper foot when you're sewing a zipper. Close off the skirt by sewing the right sides together. For the waistband, I folded and ironed 1 cm seam allowance on all sides. I also added a stiffener for my waistband. This is optional. Then I sewed the top of the skirt and then the waistband right sides together. Make sure to sew along the folded part. After sewing one side of the waistband, fold it to sandwich the skirt in between the waistband. After this, go ahead and sew the hem. I added this gold detail strip on the bottom of my skirt. I originally planned this to have 2 strips of gold detail, but I ran out of ribbon, so I decided to stick one instead. For the closure, I hand stitched the hook and eye in place. And the skirt is done. For the top, I used an oversized button-down polo pattern that I got from a channel called Clothes Making Channel. I'll put the link below for your reference. Of course, the button-down pattern is not for a Sailor Fuku top, so I had to revise it to my liking. I used references from other patterns available online and then revised them as needed. I always have trouble making patterns since I only learned sewing from YouTube. So I usually do this method in a lot of my projects, and now I'm going to share the pattern that I did. For your reference, I'm usually a size small and my height is in between 5'3" and 5'4". I went ahead and sewed the shoulder part of the front and back pieces using a French seam. The next thing I did is to line up the sleeve to the front and back that I sewed earlier. I attached the sleeve using a French seam and then closed up the sides using French seam again. For the sleeves, I cut out 2 of these small strips which I forgot to include in the pattern. This will be the trims for the sleeve cuffs. Center fold it and then iron it to stay in place and then fold it again. This is a little tricky to sew on the sleeve, so I had to redo this a couple of times and I still couldn't perfect it. Next we proceed with the cuffs. I matched up 2 pieces of the cuff pattern together and then ironed one side only, and then sewed around the piece leaving the iron part open. I flipped the cuffs right sides out and ironed it. To prep the cuffs, I've indicated in the pattern the parts that I folded for the cuffs to fit. Secure it with a pin and then sew with a running stitch to stay in place. I sewed the sleeve and the cuffs along the folded part that I ironed earlier. I hid the edges inside my cuff and then sewed it flat. I went ahead and sewed the buttonholes using my sewing machine. Oh, and I also added this gold trim on the cuffs. I cut 2 pieces of the collar pattern and sewed them together along the edges, leaving the neck part open. Then I flipped the collar right sides out and ironed it flat. I also added the gold trim around the collar. I matched the neck part of the collar to the neck part of my shirt, basically just by putting it on top of the shirt, and then I sewed along the neckline. For a cleaner finish, you can definitely add a facing for the neckline. I was just lazy, so I skipped that. I sewed the excess part flat onto the shirt to keep it in place. It doesn't look as clean, but I don't mind it since the fabric doesn't fray much. There's a lot of parts in this that I forgot to film, mainly because I was eager to finish this during that time. So yeah, but I hope this video was still helpful. Now please enjoy a short clip of me in this uniform. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to help me make more videos like this. You can also follow my Instagram for live updates on my sewing and cosplay projects. Thank you so much for watching.